Want to demonstrate a tool that's available for us for free to evaluate the accessibility of our websites. The tool is called Silktide, and it is a plugin for the Google Chrome web browser. When you are logged in with your CV Schools account on any Google Chrome web browser, you'll see the plugins that we push here, from Grammarly to Adobe. But this S for Silktide Inspector extension should show up here in the top bar. And if you click that, you'll notice that the S then shows on the right-hand side of the browsing window. So no matter what tab you're on, you'll see that S showing on the right-hand side in the middle. So just to give you an example of how it works, as we review maybe the district homepage or any web page that you are in charge of the content of, you can open up the Silktide app and it will give you some features to be able to check. So through the training, we talked about things like alternate text, screen readers for those who are visually impaired and how it reads out loud, the order in which it reads out loud, hyperlinks and making sure we have them listed correctly, and some of these other ones that you can look into. But for the most part, we're interested in alternate text so that our images have text explaining what they are. So I'll just click on that so you can kind of get an idea. So of all the images that are listed on this page, you can see the alternate text. And so a reader would say, if someone's on this section, return to home. And they would know if they want to go back to the home page, they could click that. This one just lists House Innovate students, so probably could be cleaned up a little bit to be more descriptive. Talked about decorative text, so you can see that that's just listing that. But here's an example of the alt text for this image that's here. A group of men, women, and sitting in a banquet room. So you can kind of get an idea what's listed if you need to make some changes. The focus order is another good one. It'll show you if someone's tabbing through this who's visually impaired, all the different areas that they're going to go to in the order that they will. Remember, it's top to bottom, left to right. So you can see, to get down some of this content, they might be hitting tab or the arrow over button 30 sometimes to get through this content with their visual impairment. The screen reader will demonstrate what screen reading looks like for this person. Remember the focus order that we went through? And it'll show you with the red box as you're moving through the page. So it'll just give you an idea of what that looks like. And then the other big one is just they'll have an accessibility checker. So it will run a scan of the page that you're on and come back with warnings or items or issues that you might find on the page. And so there's different levels of warnings. Red is significant. And you will see that it spits out some HTML code, but you can drop down. And basically this is saying this list of links that sits at the top of the page looks like navigation, and it should be written as a list that's vertical rather than horizontal, and talks about how to change that. And then the same one for this list that's over here. Now that's built into the website. That's part of their coding. It's not something that we manage as an editor, so it's not much we're going to change. It's just to be available, just something to be aware of. I'm going to just jump over to a Schoology page. So this is a class, which is a website which we post content, and just give you an idea, just show you how Silktide will work over top of that. I'll run the accessibility checker. It's going to be a little overwhelming because it's going to scan the whole page and it's going to look at everything on the left-hand rail and the middle body on the right-hand side to come up with warnings and or red flags that might need to be changed. It takes a little bit, so might have to hit the wait to make that happen. So as you can see, it comes back with the scan, nothing red, which is great, but it does give us an idea that there are some alternate text duplicates. We're also interested in any missing alternate text for areas. And so really quickly, I just want to see if that's anything that we can control. And so when you click in here, you'll see like there's an Amplify logo that sits up here. and it's saying it's missing alternate text in that location. Not much we're going to be able to change because those are the logos that sit on the left-hand rail that are just embedded in Schoology. So this would be something that they would have to update for us. But quickly, I can just look to see, go back to alternate text. I can look to see if there's any images or icons on here that are actually part of what I uploaded and put onto my page. And there's not, so there's not much I can do or worry about. And again, a yellow or an orange is not as bad as red. I'll look at the duplicate alternate text, same idea. It just has amplify with the word amplify, just duplicated. It's a little confusing, but nothing we're going to change. I'm just going to jump over to a Seesaw page just to give you an idea of what that looks like. I'll run the accessibility checker off of the Seesaw page. And you'll see that we have a couple of issues with labels. This will get a little confusing as far as buttons, but it will explain to you what it is. This is something baked into Seesaw as far as the QR code is concerned, not something that you'll be able to change in that order. Come down here, the search for students tool just needs a label placed on it. That's something Seesaw would have to do. But you'll notice there's not as many flags on this page as there was because there's not as much content to be able to be delivered. I'm going to jump back real quick back to the Schoology course and just show you, there's a couple of different ways you can look at your materials, but I just want to bring mention to like a PDF document that you might have in here. We'll use Adobe to help make sure that this is accessible rather than looking at Silktide and making sure that that document's accessible. That'll be in another portion of the training. So your PDFs, you do want to make sure are accessible in that course. So that's just a quick overview of Silktide.